On FM.
Online.
DAB Digital Radio.
And Freeview Channel 734.
This is BBC Radio Northampton.
£6 news, Sarah Foster.
Theresa May has said she's saddened by the resignation of 3 Tory MPs who've joined the new independent group set up by 8 former Labour backbenchers. Anna Soubry, Sarah Wollaston and Heidi Allen criticised the government for letting what one of them called the hardline anti-EU awkward squad take over the party. The former Conservative Minister, Philip Lee, said the Tory party had to change course.
The Conservative Party is either a broad church or it is not. If it wants to be a narrow UKIP-light party, that's fine. But if it does that, I can't see me sticking around much longer, as well as many of my colleagues. But it has an opportunity still to occupy the centre ground of British politics. There's an opportunity there for it to take.
A 46-year-old man has been arrested in connection with a sexual assault on a 13-year-old girl in Corby. The girl was approached by 2 men outside McDonald's in Corporation Street on Sunday the 10th of February between 5:45 and 11 p.m. She was then taken to an address in Gainsborough Road where she was sexually assaulted. Both offenders are described as white, aged between 45 and 47, with tanned complexions. Anyone with information is asked to call Northamptonshire Police on 101 or Crime Stoppers in confidence. The man arrested has been released on police bail pending further inquiries. Northamptonshire County Council has agreed to equal representation on a joint committee to help shape the future of local government in the county. The makeup of the committee resulted in a dispute between the leaders of the district and borough councils and the county council leader Matt Golby because the county council was demanding a higher number of seats. The authority has since withdrawn its demand for extra seats on the committee. Chris Miller is leader of Daventry District Council and says the behaviour of the county council caused a lot of mistrust.
It certainly has caused the lack of trust, which is unfortunate because up to that point things were going very well between all of us. You have to remember here the reason why we're going down to unitary is down to the county council failing basically. So therefore none of us want to go down that route. So our focus now is purely on our residents, getting the best deal we can for our residents. And I don't think it's a good signal, actually, to have so many county councillors, because the county councillors are still the same at the moment, apart from the odd one who may have left, that the county council oversaw the failure, are actually setting up the new unitaries.
The teenager who left East London to join the Islamic State group 4 years ago has said the government was wrong to strip her of British citizenship without speaking to her first. Shamima Begum described the decision as unjust. The Home Secretary, Sajid Javid, has insisted that people who turn their backs on the UK's values do not have an automatic right to return here. A new board has been created to form a vision for the future of Northampton. Coordinated by Northampton Borough Council, its members will include representatives from organisations including the police, the Grosvenor Centre and the town's university. Another organisation involved is Northamptonshire County Council. Chief Executive Teresa Grant says Northampton Forward needs to look very seriously at what people now want and need in a town centre.
People prefer nowadays and more likely to visit where you have bespoke shops. So it's how you attract those more bespoke shops and create things that are not just what I would consider to be standard retail, but, you know, artist quarters and things like that are very, very attractive in other locations and will draw people in almost more readily than standard retail, where everybody can buy it online now and it's quite easy to do that.
England's cricketers are playing their first of 5 one-day internationals against the West Indies in Barbados. In their first innings, the Windies are now 252 for 4. And some of the biggest stars in music have begun arriving for the 39th Brit Awards at the O2 Arena in London. For only the second time in history, there are more women than men up for Album of the Year. One of the first to take to the red carpet was Hugh Jackman, who will open the awards ceremony with a performance of songs from the film Greatest Showman.
I'm so excited. I was surprised to be invited. Of course, I've never been to the Brit Awards before. I wouldn't be surprised if I never get invited again. So my basic theory for life is just say yes and have the time of your life. And that's what I'm planning on doing.
Most places will have a dry night with patchy cloud, a low of 6 Celsius, that's 43 Fahrenheit, and tomorrow a very fine and mild day with a gentle breeze, a high of 14 Celsius, 57 Fahrenheit. BBC Radio Northampton News, it's 4 minutes past 6.
Northamptonshire Travel.
BBC Radio Northampton.
The M1 southbound has 2 lanes closed because of a car fire from junction 19 for the Catthorpe interchange to 18 for Rugby this evening. In Weldon, queues because of an accident on the A43, that's the Weldon bypass, in both directions between Stamford Road and Deanthorpe, all through the roadworks area. Barnwell also queuing on the A605 in both directions near Well Lane. This is because of those ongoing roadworks, and it's heavier than normal on the A45 eastbound at Chowns Mill, where travel time is at least 20 minutes. The M1 southbound 1 lane is closed because of a breakdown between junction 12 for Flitwick to 11A for Dunstable, and there are also long delays because of an accident between junction 10 and 12 also. Don't forget, if you spot a problem, give us a call 0800 030 4455. I'm Alice Ryan, and the next update is in 15 minutes.
A very good evening and welcome once more to the Saints Show. Well, what a game it was last Saturday for Saints. One of the best attacking displays you'll ever see as they ran in 9 tries against Sale.
Collins got a man in field and he kicks in field now. Racing back, Mitchell's after it. It's all on the bounce. Mitchell will get there first. Gets it on to Collins to score the try. Another length of the field try from Saints. And again, the crowd is on its feet.
Saints are up to 7th in the Premiership table this week. They need to refocus and concentrate as Bath come to the Gardens.
We want to be really confident and take the confidence out of that game, but we're aware of the fact that, overconfidence leading to complacency is an absolute killer.
And we've got more from Chris Boyd on the Saints Show. And we'll also hear from Piers Francis, who made just a superb comeback from injury. And he's enjoying the responsibility he's given at the Saints.
I guess because I'm not always sort of crashing over the gain line, I'll sort of have to incorporate the ball a bit more as to how I can influence the game. So and that suits me and how I want to play, and it's good that we can do that.
And with us in the studio this evening, we have 2 guests for you. We've got the South African international and the current Saints home side, Heinz Brousseau. He's here with us. And also we've got the captain of the Saints wheelchair rugby team, who this weekend challenged the Leicester Tigers for the first time. Gerry Mac joins us.
Well, good evening and welcome to the Saints Show. You can get your questions to us, as many of you are doing already. You can text them to 81333. Start your text with the word North. Tweet us at BBC Northampton. The questions are already coming in, both for Heinz Brousseau and for Gerry Mac from the Northampton Saints wheelchair team. So keep them coming. Good evening to you all. Good evening, Lenny.
Good evening, Graham. I forgot about that, but actually at the end,
it's quite all right. I'm here to bail you out, as ever.
As usual.
And good evening to our 2 guests, Heinz Brousseau.
Good evening, people.
Gerry Mac.
Good evening.
What a game. Let's just start. What a game, Heinz. To play in, to watch. It was just a fabulous afternoon.
Yeah, definitely. I think the boys played really well. I think that we spoke about it in the week. It's one of the highest scores in a Prem game the Saints boys have achieved over the last few years at home. So I think the guys are really proud of what we did. But then again, there's a big challenge for us this week. We can't be too cocky about it. But I think we prepared well. The week started well, and we're looking forward to the weekend's game as well.
It was the manner of the rugby, though, isn't it? And we'll hear from Chris Boyd a bit later on, but it must be getting close to how he wants you to play the game, that relentless attacking rugby.
Yeah, definitely. I think the main thing is, like we spoke about before, and getting in front is a lot of teams can do that, but keeping your foot down on the petrol and coming out, scoring try after another try after another try, and defending, keeping Sale out, that was something we can be really proud of. But then again, it's a new challenge for us this week, and can't be too arrogant about it.
It's funny, the message right from after the game, from when we spoke to Chris Boyd, and again this week when I was down there talking to Boyd again and hearing from some of the players, it's all about defence. That's all people want to talk about. It's an incredible attacking display, but you're all most proud of the defence.
Yeah, I think throughout the season we've showed we can attack, and we had a lot of games where we really scored a few good tries, and we've got players that have the capability to score good tries, individual tries. If you look at tries Cobus scored out of nothing, a few intercept tries. I think so attacking wise we really felt we were right up there, but defensively we weren't exactly where we wanted to be. So we worked on a lot of things, and with Dicko as well, and I think we're slowly starting to improve and getting where we want to be. And yeah, the boys, like I said, over the last 3 weeks has really worked hard, and we made a step up in certain departments on the defensive things, and things have been working for us as far.
I've got to ask you a question, Heinz, because it's before the game it was the Battle of the Nines. We had Kobus, our own Kobus Reinick, and you got Faf de Klerk there. You're a South African international. I'm going to put you on the spot now, because how can Kobus has got to be put himself up there in one of those top positions for the World Cup if he continues? Would you agree?
Yeah, I think definitely he's right up there. I think he's been unlucky not to be part of the Springboks over the last few years. He's just an amazing player. I think a lot of the Saints fans and Saints people will agree with me. He's been outstanding for us this season. Not only just scoring amazing tries, but playing a good 9 game, passing solidly, on defensively coming in the line, making good decisions, kicking brilliantly. So he's really right up there. So I really hope for him he gets a chance. It's a World Cup year. Everybody wants to be a part of that. It's a special year for him as well. He's getting a baby soon, so hopefully things go well for him and he can keep his foot on the petrol and keep going well.
Much more. We'll talk more about Kobus, about South Africa and everything else as well. Let's introduce Gerry Mac. Good evening, Gerry. We'll talk about wheelchair rugby with you tonight, because big game. We had Jamie Higgins, the coach that started the season, and he talked about this Leicester game. We're going to talk to you about that. That's the main thing to talk to you about. But you are also a season ticket holder, aren't you, at Saints? So how much did you enjoy Saturday afternoon?
It was fantastic. Some of the rugby was played just outstanding. For me, as a fan, I think I was saying to Heinz earlier, the team just seemed to be having an air of confidence about them at the moment, but also composure and patience. Even when the chips are down, sometimes they just seem to keep it together, sticking to the game plan, and it's playing off. They're playing great rugby. And it's relentless, isn't it? It is relentless. Do you know what? I'm glad I'm playing wheelchair rugby now, because I would not want to be in a pitch with any of these guys, definitely not.
Well, I'll tell you what, you tried wheelchair rugby, Lenny, and you preferred playing 15-a-side rugby, didn't you? That was a hard workout for you on Monday morning.
I did, and I say every Monday the diet starts tomorrow, and it definitely does next week. But I've got to tell you, what a great bunch of lads, first and foremost, and brilliant facility up there at the Northampton International Academy now. But there was a small video put on afterwards, and I just told Heinz and Gerry about this, that my lads very kindly said to me when they'd seen the video, they said, why is it, in inverted commas, this is wheelchair rugby and these lads with numerous different disabilities and injuries and that, and they said, you definitely looked probably the one who was labouring the most there, physically and facially.
Yeah, you were struggling. I've looked at it, Lenny.
But it is so. I said to Heinz, I'm going to get Heinz up there because he's in tip-top shape. But Gerry and the rest of the lads, they move these chairs about. Well, it's almost as if they're on a skid pan or something like that. It's just the way they turn it. And well, I was like turning the QE2 at the time.
Gerry, one thing I have to say is I don't see a wheelchair anywhere this evening.
No, I'm not a wheelchair user, and you don't have to be a wheelchair user to play wheelchair rugby. I'm an amputee, a below the knee amputee, and some of the other lads are amputees as well. We have wheelchair users who come, and people with different disabilities, so you don't have to be a wheelchair user to.
But have you had to learn to use a wheelchair then, specifically to play rugby?
I did, yes. The very first time I ever sat in a wheelchair was at the first night I went along to a training session. I was fit to catch the ball and do all them bits okay, but yeah, it took a good few months to kind of master the chair. And with the help of the coach and the help of the other wheelchair users there, you shouldn't catch it. You shouldn't catch on how to do it.
We'll talk more about the game this weekend against Leicester. It's a big occasion, isn't it?
It is indeed.
For you, just briefly your story, because people will be wondering how you ended up an amputee.
Well, I had an accident in 2003, which left me having to get quite a bit of surgery done to my leg to repair it, and it worked out pretty well for me. And then 2 years ago, my ankle basically was starting to crumple, and the decision was made that the leg had to come off. So yeah, went in, had it done, and yeah, for a little while I was a bit limbo, thinking, what am I going to do here? as far as sports is concerned, because I've always been very competitive and playing different sports. And then luckily, our local post office lady said to me one day, "Here, I think you'd be good at playing rugby." And I went, having a laugh here, like, I'm an amputee. And she goes, no, wheelchair rugby. My husband plays it. I think you'd be excellent at it. I'll tell you what, I'll get him to pick you up Monday night, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it's an amazing sport. Murderball, the documentary, which came out probably about 10 years ago now, was really what catapulted wheelchair rugby onto the wider stage. Is Murderball something you're trying to get away from these days?
No, well, listen, it can be murder sometimes. No, I'm only joking. It is started off being called Murderball, you're right, and that's what the documentary was all about, the documentary / Fulham. It became wheelchair rugby to make it more PC, I guess, for when the Olympics came around, just to make it more palatable for the tongue rather than saying Murderball.
The IOC wouldn't be that keen on Murderball.
Yeah, exactly. And it has stuck, and I think that's a good thing in a way as well, because it has brought rugby clubs now like the Saints and other clubs to the forum, and wanting to get involved and supporting us, and they're doing a fantastic job off that.
Yeah, it's a great story. And I remember when we had when we were talking about it back at the start of the season, wasn't it?
It was beginning of the season, yeah.
Lenny, we talked about the importance. Well, Lenny, you talked about this very eloquently. The pride you always felt pulling on the Saints green, black, and gold, and you all share that, don't you? It's the same for the wheelchair rugby team. Wearing that badge is hugely important to you.
It is, I'll crack a joke in a way here. Like, I am an Ulster man, as you all know, and I'm a very proud Ulster man.
I knew there was something about you.
Yeah, that's why I attacked you hard, Lenny.
Can you two understand each other's accents, Heinz? Can you understand Heinz? Because actually, sorry to interrupt. Of course, Afrikaans is your first language. You okay with the Irish?
Yeah, no, I've got him.
Fine.
Yeah.
You've locked on.
I struggle sometimes with different people, but I'm fine with him.
Yeah. And vice versa. I've got quite a few South African friends, so
you're okay.
I'm there.
Fine. Right, carry on. Sorry.
And he is sitting there wearing a red glove as well, isn't he?
Yeah. No, I'm a proud Ulster fan, and I moved over here in 2003. Dragged along to the Gardens with a good friend of mine to start watching some rugby because he knew I loved it. And home is where you lay your head at night. Our children are born here, three of them. One was born in Ireland, and this is home now, and it's a big pride to wear that badge. It really is.
Well, it's great to have you along. Much more with you tonight. But let's just hear now from Chris Boyd for the first time this evening, the Saints Director of Rugby. There's clearly, as we were all discussing here, a different feeling at Franklin's Gardens at the moment. It is a far cry from last season, and it's helped, of course, by some wins, and big ones too, most recently against Sale last Saturday. Boyd says the change in form can be relatively easily explained.
I think it is just confidence. We had that period of time with the PRC games where it allowed us to be, play with a little bit more freedom, and I think one of the things that I was really interested to see whether that freedom and attitude would transpose into going back into the premiership, which historically has been considered a bit of a grind, but we went in with a really positive attitude about we needed to play to win that game, and let's not hide, I think we had not a lucky, but it was one of those days where nothing went terribly right for them, and most things, if there was going to be a bounce or a decision go 50-50, it went our way, and sometimes you get those days, and sometimes you're on the other end of the wire that there is in the game, but I thought we were generally pretty good.
You talk about confidence, and when the players come in and talk to us on our show on a Wednesday, one thing the young players talk about especially is there's a lack of fear at the club now. Is that something you've consciously brought around?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we scored 3 tries or a couple of tries and one near to try, which started 5 yards from our own goal line. So 5 metres. Sorry about the.
We still work in yards. Take your pick.
And so the confidence to get your head up and have a look and play to what the picture tells you, not what position you're in the field. I think that change has been significant. The way we exit out of our back end of our field in time has changed. I think if you had a look at our first couple of games against, Bath is a good example. When we played Bath down there, wasn't terribly nice conditions, but if you looked at the way we approached the game, I think you'd find that it's reasonably different now, and I think a lot of that is due to the fact that we have a higher degree of confidence.
That was Chris Boyd, of course, speaking to me in the week. Heinz, confidence is it's an intangible, isn't it? It's something which is so hard to put your finger on how it comes and how it goes so quickly, but clearly it's just flowing through the Saints team at the moment.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the spot there. As quickly as you get confidence, you can lose it. So for us, it's just to keep the balance and, like we said, use this game that we had, but get it out the back room, take out the positive things, and just even make a step up and work harder. Teams are going to work harder to stop you now. So for us to be able to absorb that challenge, but definitely use the confidence. And I think individually there's a lot of guys with a lot of confidence playing for us, a few young players coming through, which is great. So there's a lot of positive thing for us, but we have to keep on working hard, and it's still a long season ahead.
And one thing that a lot of the people who sat in that chair this season, especially the younger players who've come and have talked about, is they're playing without fear. And I don't want to draw too many comparisons with the previous coaching regime, but they say that Chris Boyd and the other coaches encourage you to go out there and try something, and if it doesn't work, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think exactly that. And we've got a lot of young players with a lot of skill, with a lot of talent, and they just needed to get the opportunity. And I think Boydie believes in them, and they take that confidence and they just show it on the field. And it's exciting because at this stage we've got a team with a lot of experienced leaders. And then we've got a few young players that's really coming through and playing with tremendous confidence, and it's just mixing well and it's working for us. But hopefully we can keep it up and keep focusing on that.
Hopefully. More to come from Heinrich Brousseau. Gerry Mac from the Saints wheelchair rugby team is in the studio with Lenny and me this evening as well. But the time is 21 minutes past 6, so let's check what's happening on the roads.
Northamptonshire Travel.
BBC Radio Northampton.
The M1 southbound has 2 lanes closed because of a car fire from junction 19 for the Catthorpe interchange to 18 for Rugby. In Weldon, it's queuing because of an accident on the A43, the Weldon bypass, in both directions between Stamford Road and Deanthorpe, all through the roadworks area. Barnwell queues on the A605 in both directions near Well Lane. This is all because of those ongoing roadworks. It's been heavy for most of the afternoon. We've also got delays on the A45 eastbound at Chowns Mill with queues on the A6. This is the Higham Ferries bypass northbound at the A45 as well. Looking slightly further afield, the M1 southbound, 1 lane is closed because of a serious accident earlier on this afternoon, just before junction 10, with queues back to junction 12 for Flitwick. That's the latest. Don't forget, if you do spot a problem, you can always give us a call on 0800 030 4455. I'm Alice Ryan, and the next update is in 15 minutes.
You're listening to The Saints Show here on BBC Radio Northampton. I'm laughing because I'm happy, because I'm spending time with you, Leonard. That always makes me happy.
Or was it something we were mentioning off air?
No, certainly not. Right, so our guests tonight, Heinrich Brousseau and Gerry Mac from the wheelchair rugby team. But we are just going to talk briefly about a departure from the club and a new contract as well. 2 big names, 2 names, Lenny, from the team that won the title in 2014. Let's start with Luther Burrell, who is off to Warrington. He's switching over to Rugby League. What do you make of that move?
Yeah, there was a couple of rumours, wasn't there, whether it was Warrington or the Catalan Dragons. And, you know, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't wish Luther well in his next challenge. And as you listen to Chris Boyd saying, you know, it's on Luther's terms. He felt it was, you know, there was an impasse between, you know, what Luther wanted, what the club wanted. And I think it's a great move. And I think the thing is that what everybody's said, and, you know, as a parent, as a man, all you want to know, what a great human being Luther is, you know. And I think that's he's been a big part of the Saints. He's struggled a few times, but I'll tell you what, he's been
good this season, isn't he? And Chris Boyd has really brought the best out of him.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to remember as well that, you know, Boyd didn't hold back by saying that, you know, I've had a word with Luther and he needs to up his game if he wants to be in my side, and he did that. And you've got to take your hat off to him, because whatever, you know, he's one of these guys that knock him down at your peril, because he'll bounce back. And lovely man, on his day, you know, he really is a great player, and he's got a great history at the Saints, and I think he'll do well at Warrington Wolves. And you know, he's going up north again. He's, as a youngster, he played there, so no, well done, brilliant bloke.
Gerry, what have you made of Luther Burrell over the years you've been watching him down at Franklin's Gardens?
Yeah, as everything Lenny has just said there, he you know, he has bounced back time after time again. He has put he's earned his dues, I think, there, and it's always nice when a player can leave on his own terms rather than it's something more difficult happening. And yeah, I'm sure every fan wishes him the best, and hopefully he can go on to do well.
It's unbelievable the number of knocks he's had, I think, over his career, and significant ones as well. You think, I mean, he had an unhappy time at Sale and came to Saints, and everything seemed to be going well for him. He's in the England setup, and then along came the Sam Burgess affair, which is a big knock to his confidence. I think it's incredible what he's come through. And he's still, Heinz, as you know, one of the nicest guys around, isn't he?
Yeah, I think that you hit it on the nail there. He's a real nice guy. He's a real team man, and I think he's a leader by just the way he plays. He leads. There's always, when we're on the back foot, he's the guy that puts his hand up, takes the ball, get us over the gain line, makes big hits. So I think it's a big loss for us as well. But then again, it's a new challenge for him, pushing him at the end of his career, and something he can see forward to as well.
How will he do in rugby league? Do you know anything about rugby league?
I think he's going to be perfect for the league because he's a basher, he's strong, he dominates contact and on defence and attack. So I think he'll be really good there.
Yeah, good luck to Luther heading back north as well. And Chris Boyd said to me that's one of the attractions for Luther as well. He said he wants to end up living back north. As well.
And I think the other thing you forget about Luther is that how important he is within the squad. Because you talk about players, and we only see that 80 minutes on the field of play, but sometimes you underestimate what they bring to the dressing room. And I know for a fact that Luther's one of them guys that brings something off the field as well. So it's. But hey, this is where the youngsters step up. Your characters. Because characters make a team as well. They don't have to be the best player, but you can have some fine characters, and that's what gels aside.
And it's a good bit of business. I would say from Luther's perspective, it's a good move. And also Saints and Chris Boyd and the other coaches will have looked at what they've got at centre next season. I mean, with the emergence of, I suppose, Fraser Dingwall, Fraser Strachan, there's Rory Hutchinson, there's Matt Proctor coming through. Saints have an abundance of talents at centre, don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
They're all fine players. What about Tom Wood then? In your back row union there, I do hope Luther gets to captain Saints again, by the way. Because he captained them once, didn't he?
I think he will.
Do you remember when he captained them?
Timisoara?
Yeah, you were on that trip, weren't you?
So
Luther Burrell's one and only time captaining Saints.
Didn't play.
Snowed off. Will he get the chance before he leaves? Let's hope so. Right, Tom Wood, captain Saints a lot more. And Lenny, starting with you, how pleased were you with the news that Woody would be staying?
I'm very pleased. It probably would have been an easy option for Tom not to stay at the Saints with the talent that's there, the talent that's coming through. But Heinz will be the first to tell you that you need 2 or 3 players in each position because it's so attritional. There's no way Heinz could sit here and say I'm going to play every game in the season. It's just not physically possible now. It's with a bash. Certainly not how Heinz plays. But with Tom Wood, he is a warrior. And I think that, he's based himself. I think it's his 9th season here. I think it is, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
9th season. And I'm really pleased because, again, Tom certainly wears his heart on his sleeve. And, ask him for an honest question at your peril because you'll get one back.
He's given us some great answers over the years. And I think, Heinz, that we've seen in recent weeks, I think actually against Newcastle when he came off the bench and again last week playing at number 8, we've seen how much he can still offer as a player as well.
Yeah, I think Woody is great for us. Like you said, he's been with the club for 9 years. So he's carried the badge on his chest every game since he's been here. And to lose a guy like him wouldn't be good for us. He's been good over the last few games as well. The thing about Woody is, like you said, he's a real warrior. He's a leader and he leads by the way he plays, but he's also a guy that when there's pressure on, who can talk and keep the guys positive. So it's a great signing for us to keep him and have him around for a few more years.
I think the other thing with Tom Wood as well is that Tom didn't have the most happiest of time when he was skipper, a few years back, and I think he's almost got a new skip in his step under Chris Boyd, and I think he's enjoying the role that he's given. I think everybody is, and I think that's the thing is that at the moment, why would you want to leave somewhere like the Saints if you got the opportunity to play here? Because I think we're ahead of where we all thought we'd be. There'll be some more downs, not massive downs, but we're not going to put 67 points on everybody every week. Let's get real. And Bath this weekend could come up and they'll want to really, really knock us off the perch. So, but it is a place that players will want to stay and hopefully come to.
And of course, he did have that fairly important moment in their Saints' recent history.
In midfield now, it's Laws driving forward. 2.5 minutes left. They get it again. They've got numbers on the left-hand side this time. It's got to go. Burrell, it's a 2-on-1 to Wood for the line. Oh, Tom Wood has scored a try. And with 2 minutes to go, Saints are winning here at Franklin's Gardens. It's 21 points to 20, and everybody are on their feet here. I've never seen anything like it here at a rugby match. What a try from Saints.
Not bad, was it, Lenny? You got a bit overexcited there, didn't you? You and Ian Hunter?
Yeah, I guess a bit. I was going to say embarrassing, but do you know what? I tingled.
Best game of rugby I've ever seen, that.
Yeah,
Best game of club rugby I've ever seen.
Yeah, I always say whenever I go down the tunnel now, I get a tingle. And whenever I hear things like that, when you put a clip on earlier, I noticed Saturday I was screaming a bit when we scored again.
You need to pace yourself, Lenny. Save them for the big moments like that.
But no, it is still my favourite moment. Brilliant.
It was a great. Were you there, Gerry? Were you there for that game?
No, I wasn't.
Ah, you weren't there?
No, I was at Ravenhill.
Much more to come here on the Saints show with Gerry Mac and Heinz Brousseau, Lenny and me, Graham McKechnie. The time here on BBC Radio Northampton is 6:30.
On FM.
Online.
On DAB Digital Radio.
And Freeview Channel 734.
This is BBC Radio Northampton.
It's time now for the BBC News with Sarah Foster.
Good evening. BBC Radio Northampton has learnt that 3 former rough sleepers have died in Northampton in the past week. It follows the death of a 38-year-old rough sleeper on New Year's Day. 3 Conservative MPs have left the party to join the new independent group in Parliament. Anna Soubry, Heidi Allen and Sarah Wollaston said Brexit had redefined their former party and undone all the attempts to modernise it. The Prime Minister is in Brussels for talks about making changes to her Brexit deal. Theresa May will meet the head of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker. She's seeking changes to the measures to prevent the return of a hard border between Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic if there's no future trade deal. And a new board has been formed to create a vision for the future of Northampton, coordinated by Northampton Borough Council. Its members will include representatives from organisations such as the police, the Grosvenor Centre and the town's university. Most places will be dry tonight with patchy cloud, a few light showers around, the low of 6 Celsius, that's 43 Fahrenheit. BBC Radio Northampton News, it's 6:32.
Northamptonshire Travel.
BBC Radio Northampton.
The M1 southbound has 2 lanes closed because of a car fire from junction 19 for the Catthorpe interchange to 18 for Rugby this evening. In Weldon, there are still heavy queues in the A43 in both directions. This is between Weldon and Deanthorpe through the roadworks area. Barnwell queues in the A605 each way near Well Lane because of those ongoing roadworks. And the A45 eastbound looking very slow at the A6 for Station Road, with queues also on the Higham Ferries bypass northbound at Chowns Mill. Elsewhere on the sensors, if you're heading this direction, the M1 has been suffering southbound this afternoon following a severe accident just before junction 10. It's causing queues back to junction 12 of Flitwick, and all lanes have now reopened. Nothing to report on public transport, but don't forget, if you do spot a problem, give us a call on 0800 030 4455. I'm Alice Ryan, and the next update is in 15 minutes.
Welcome back to the Saints show here on BBC Radio Northampton. Lenny Newman, Heinz Brousseau, Gerry Mac in the studio this evening. Gerry, so Tigers this weekend. First meeting, isn't it, between the Saints and the Tigers wheelchair rugby teams? What are you expecting? They've been established a bit longer than Saints, haven't they?
Yeah, they're just rolling into their 6th year now, the Tigers are. Listen, we're not taking this lightly at all. Like, you know, it's a local derby, and a friendly. But it's also the showcase the new school that we're training at, the NIA. It's a new home of the Saints wheelchair rugby. Listen, they're undefeated. They're Premiership champions. League of Alvis, been going. They've got 4 years' experience on it. Some phenomenal GP players that play with them, and but. As I say, we're not taking it lightly. We train hard. We're there. We're going to be giving it all we can, and but it's also a bit of a set for us for the summer to see where we're at. Test out some new players that have come along and joined us really. So
your season runs over the summer, doesn't it? Really?
It does. Yeah, it's called the Summer League season. Yeah.
But so this is a pre-season friendly almost.
Yes, it is. Yeah, just kind of. We hope they have a few more before we actually kick into the season. It's just to, as I say, as a tester, see where we're at. Again, showcase the new school and give the local people of Northamptonshire a chance to come along, check out wheelchair rugby, check us out, see what we're all about, you know.
And the fact you're playing Leicester obviously catches everyone's attention.
Who are unbeaten? Is it for 16 games? Is it 16 games?
Yeah, it
unbeaten
is.
run?
Yeah, and they just like the other weekend they won the Premiership title again, like, you know. So yeah,
no pressure there then.
No pressure
good
whatsoever.
taste.
But we won't be going in and looking at their past history. We'll go and take it on the day and give it the best we can, you know.
Heinz, what advice? You've played Tigers a few times now. What advice when you're playing a game like they're facing against the local derby? I mean, it matters, doesn't it, to everyone that it's a local match?
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's a good game to test himself. It's probably the best, it's the best team in the league, and it's a tough ask, but you always want to measure yourself against the best. So I think for them, it's just focus on what they've been doing and probably not learning out of the game, but seeing where you're at and learning and involving yourself in that and making yourself a better team. Don't necessarily have to win the game.
Yeah.
But of course, you're playing against the best. You could win. But I think the best is just to learn out of this one and take that into your season and build yourself into getting yourself into the Premiership soon. And
great advice. Like, that's what the coach has been drilling us on over the last few weeks leading up to this game, that basically this is a tester, see where we're at and learn from it and move forward to the summer and hopefully defend our title that we won last year in the summer, you know, first year in wheelchair rugby for the Saints. And we picked up some silverware, so no pressure on you guys, Heinz. You know,
definitely.
We were the first this season, so hopefully you guys can follow it.
Yeah, definitely.
I think
it's a challenge for us.
I think your team is just going to go from strength to strength. I've no doubts. And it helps the fact you have Saints' name attached to you, doesn't it? It will draw people to you as a club, just like it's drawn top players to Leicester.
Oh, it is. It's phenomenal. It's really I speak for every guy in the team and girls. Like, this is a mixed sport. The pride of wearing, like I'm sitting here tonight with my rugby gear on. The pride of wearing the badge and getting to play at that level, it's great. It really is. You know, the guys love it. You know.
Well, it's well earned. A few people have asked, where is it, and can people go and watch this weekend?
Of course they can. Yeah, it's free to come along and watch. The first game will be at 11 o'clock and the second game will be at 1 o'clock. It is the NAA, which used to be the old sorting office on the Barrack Road. Should be fit to get in from 10:30 on.
Yeah.
Please do come along, and if there's anybody out there who's got juniors with disabilities, any females out there with disabilities, you know, we're constantly recruiting for more females and more juniors for the team. Please come along, and also come along on a Monday night. You know, all training equipment, the chairs, the gloves, everything's provided. Everybody's more than welcome. We'd like to get some of those Saints Sinners fans on to watch us and cheer us on if we can.
Gerry, we had earlier in the season Jamie Higgins in the season, and he was talking very eloquently and powerfully about the impacts wheelchair rugby's had on him and on his family, because his son is a player. And I've spoken before, you both have, to Natalie McGloin, who actually plays for Leicester, doesn't she? She was a motor racing driver who you probably know, who was tetraplegic, but she said when she played wheelchair rugby, it was the start of her recovery as a teenager after she'd been in a road accident. What has it done for you, wheelchair rugby?
It's changed me, you know. Gives you a purpose, a really good purpose, you know. Gets you back out there. Sorry, I get a bit emotional here about that.
Yeah.
But it does. It means a lot.
It's incredibly emotional, isn't it? When Jamie was the same when he's talking about his son. It really matters to people, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Well, we can see that. I've got a few more questions coming in. How did you get into wheelchair rugby then? What was the first step for you? You mentioned it was the...
Yeah, a lovely little lady who works in our post office, who's a wife of one of the players. She kind of just... I don't actually think my wife might have something to do with it as well. We might have had a conversation in the background and...
Get him out of the house.
Yeah, get him out of the house, get him out from underneath my feet type of thing.
It's clearly had a major impact on you. What about on your teammates as well? What have you seen in the transformation?
It's brilliant. That's the part that I love more about the game, to be honest with you. On a Monday night when you see some of the guys and the girls winning, and you know they've had their aches, their pains, their troubles, just like any other able body have, you know.
Yeah.
And some will keep themselves to themselves while they're setting up and getting ready, but a couple of hits into it, a couple of rolls up and down the floor, you see that smile coming on their face, and you know what they're getting the good out of it.
I said this to Gerry after we'd had that session on Monday morning. The real thing, remember I said to you, Gerry, that every single person who was in that chair on that day in that gym, you were absolutely as one. You felt exactly the same as everybody else in that room. It it was such a great feeling, and also, you know, if anything, I was the one that felt disadvantaged while I was there, but for no other reason. But I looked around, and you know, there's a guy, I forget his name now, called Grandad. You know, he's probably not as old as as these guys make him out to be, but. And then the younger lads were there, and as you say, it was just so all-encompassing. And you know, while I was there, you know, nobody felt disadvantaged or disabled, did they?
No,
at all?
That's one of the beauties about the Saints Community Programme. It's inclusive, and that's one of the things that they drive forward all the time. It's mentioned in training. It's mentioned when you come along to inquiry about it, and it is inclusive. So it doesn't matter what your disability is, what your age limit is, male or female. It is an inclusive sport, and we bolden the club on that format. All our clubs hopefully will try and do the same, but that is our thing. And it's hard to compete sometimes when you're inclusive, because you want to put your best side on and win and
you
win.
You wouldn't have Lenny on the team, would you?
I wouldn't get in.
He had 12 last Monday. He didn't like it.
Exactly. I didn't say anything. You won't get in. What are you going for? Just one thing, Gerry. Just one last thing. The NIA, what a facility!
It is.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It is. It's just it's a phenomenal school, you know. I was never a big lover of school, but when you walk around that building, you nearly want to go back to school. You know, it's state-art facilities. It's got everything. The future of wheelchair rugby in Northampton is looking bright because we've got it. But also, I think the future of education for the young kids of Northampton, it's got a lot to offer.
And if you do go along, there are great lifts there, obviously, for you guys. I couldn't find it, so I had to go up all the stairs. It's on the top floor.
It'll do you good, Lenny.
So that's why it would. I think that's
as long as you don't have a fall.
Yeah, Lenny was sweating before he even got in a chair, to be honest with you.
Lots of questions coming in for both of you. I need to get some of your questions for Heinz as well. Heinz, let's start with a couple about Chris Boyd. Simon says, does the type of game plan that Chris Boyd is putting into place incorporate a flanker like you more than perhaps in the past?
Yeah, I think it's way different. Boydie started with something with a bigger plan when he came here, and he's a New Zealander, so he came in with that mindset, and a lot of the boys, especially playing under Jim, had to adapt to that. But like I said earlier, I think we had the type of players that can really adapt to that, and we had players with skill and wanted to run the ball, wanted to act space. So it took some time for us to 100% slot in with that. But like I said earlier as well, I think our attack is really well. We played some exciting rugby, good rugby to watch, scored some good tries. I think for a flanker's role, we've got flankers playing in wider channels, one playing in the middle. So Boydie's giving us the opportunity to, where do you want to play? Do you want to be the middle one? Do you want to be the outside one? There's no strict things with that. So like I said, I think he's basically got a plan, and he's giving you your freedom to try what you want to do, and that's actually been the key thing for us, and that's what's making players grow and young players coming through and just playing some amazing attacking rugby.
Paul says the past few seasons have seen us getting turned over again and again at the breakdown, but the tide is now swinging our way and we're winning more turnover balls. Why is that?
I think the thing for us as well with the breakdown is we're playing a real quick game, and we're playing really fast. So the thing is for us, we're not giving them a lot of opportunities to get on our ball. And the thing is, if you're attacking and you're putting teams under pressure, there's just more opportunities to pop up for you. And we've been making some good tackle techniques that we've been working on, and a lot of clinical things. And to be honest, we've got a handful or more than a handful of good loose forwards in our squad. We're really fortunate to have all these forwards. If you look at some of the young guys coming through as well, Lewis Ludlam has been great for us this season, just tremendous. Over the ball, making good tackles, just being dominant, carrying the ball, and just he's got a great work rate. So, and just a lot of players like that coming through for us, a few experienced players. Ask's been there, he's back from injury now, he's probably going to be in the mix soon. So I think we've got a lot of good loose forwards in our squad, and that's good to have.
Do you think you are a dying breed as an open side, an out-and-out open side? Do you think your type of player will go from the game? Well, you mentioned Lewis Ludlam, and he's bigger, isn't he? He's taller than you.
Yeah, like I said, I think Lewis has got the ability to be good over ball, but he's a good defender as well. He's a good attacker. He's been linked up with a few tries against Clermont, that try offload to Cobus, again this weekend with Faf. I think it's definitely it's going to be difficult for the specialist feature in the next few years. I think referees and the whole game is trying to take the feature more out of the game. That makes it a bit tougher. But then again, it's all about quick game. They don't want the ball to be slowed much. But then again, you look at the guys international level. Pocock has still been great.
Yeah.
There's a few guys all around that's still been great. It's a tougher ask, and referees are
Underhill,
really tough.
I mean, Underhill's an out-and-out 7, really, isn't he? For England, Curry as well.
Yeah, so they're still around. You still need to slow ball down. If you allow teams to go really fast, they get the point. So it's not about much about that turnovers, but then again, disrupting the breakdowns, giving your guys opportunity to get around the corner, getting set, getting their spacing right. So it's a bit more, if you look at it, it's not specifically just about turnovers.
I know the impressive thing this year as well, Graham, is the development of the coaches under Chris Boyd as well, with Alan Dickens, who was there already, but Dowson, Sam Vesti, Matt Ferguson. You can see that development. But the other thing, Hines, do they use your expertise? Because we talk about the turnover, but just at the weekend, Graham, we had Francois.
He turned over twice, didn't he? Van Dijk at the breakdown.
Alex Waller is good over the ball. Do you impart your skills in the squad as well during that period?
Yeah, I think in the pre-season we worked on a lot of things, and there's a few things we worked on. You can't always say to other people, but there's a lot of things we worked on, and I think the main thing for us is our second guy really works hard to put pressure on the ball and just to slow the opposition down, and we're fortunate enough to have a lot of players that's really decent over the ball. We even got a few good backs that's good over the ball. So I think, like you said, I think the game's changed. You don't have this one specific guy say, listen, you do ball, the other just get out. It's more about finding the balance closest to the guy. You just do your work for us there, and the rest will do the rest. So adapting to that, we've been really good with that.
Jan says, comment to Mr. Brousseau, keep the turnovers coming. Brilliant play over the last few weeks. A joy to watch. I hope he will still be here for at least one more season. You are here, aren't you?
Yeah, one more season.
Yeah, and beyond that? Because you said to me when you joined that this is it. I remember interviewing you when you arrived at Saints, and you said this is it.
Yeah, definitely. I think the thing is I came here to be with a great bunch of guys, a good club with good people around, and a good environment, great fan base, and the last thing we really had was playing good rugby, and we're really getting there. So all those things are ticking the boxes. So for me, being part of that, hopefully in the next year we can, or maybe we can still do it this year, but in the next year that I have here, we can get some silverware somewhere in there, and that is the main thing for me. And then I'll be
off to the Veld.
Yeah, back to South Africa.
A question here from Lewis from Northampton says, how is the bird watching going?
That will be Lewis Ludlam. So,
okay, so are you a keen twitcher?
No, I think Cobus, they asked some of the younger lads, asked Cobus what does Heinz do in his off time, and he came up with a suggestion and thought it would be funny telling them that I do birding.
Okay, but it's not true then.
No, I won't say I do specific birding, sitting in a bush and looking at birds. That's what Cobus told him. But I love being outside. I'm from South Africa. I'm from a farm, so being outside, being in nature, I really enjoy it.
So what do you do in your spare time then?
Eat biltong.
Eat biltong, braai.
That's pretty good sauce, isn't it?
Graham, what's that? Where have you gone? Where have you gone? Actually, I've got a question for you, Hines, while Graham comes off the floor.
Okay.
There.
I'm okay, thanks for
your
concern.
Back? Well,
I'm back, yeah.
I actually had a quick look at, and I'd actually forgotten that you'd got the man of the match against when you beat the All Blacks for South Africa. Is that the game that stands out for you internationally? Is the one that always comes back to you?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, if you play international rugby, there's a lot of things you really take as special moments. I think especially the first one for me is my debut game against England. We played at Twickenham. It was back in 2008. And we actually gave a record score. I think we beat them 42-6. So that's definitely a big thing for me. I didn't play much. I played like 10 minutes. But being part of that Twickenham is amazing. A lot of people. So that atmosphere was just amazing for me. And then especially that game, the All Blacks, it's always great beating the All Blacks. And then British and Irish Lions series. That was something really special to see all those English people. They singing, we singing.
So
it's like
British people, and Gerry will point out, is Irish people as well.
Yes,
on the line. It's not
indeed.
That was really the series that I suppose from a Northern Hemisphere perspective, from a British perspective, European rugby. That's the one where we suddenly sat up and took notice of you open side. That was a transformation really for you, that series, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And that's this year after I started playing for the Springboks, and it was just an opener for me. And we had a good series. The guys played well, and we were fortunate enough to win the series. So it was a good start.
It was a terrific series, wasn't it?
Not a bad career, actually, is it?
Not a bad career.
It's actually been amazing the next series because the Lions beat the Aussies they drew against the All Blacks.
Yeah.
So the only team that beat them was South Africa, and it's 21 or 20?
In 2 years' time, yeah.
2 years' time. It's going to
yeah.
be amazing series to watch.
It is going to be great.
You could be playing, Heinz.
No. I'll be there. I'll be in the stadium, but probably with a beer in the hand and screaming.
More to come from Heinz Brousseau and Gerry Mac in the studio with Lenny and me on this evening's Saints show. The time is 10 minutes to 7.
My role as a Leicester 12 is more ball player.
Piers Francis, who will be coming out for you very, very shortly. That's not what was supposed to happen.
That falling off a chair has put you about, hasn't it?
It has. That's what it did for me. Should we try that again? Should we pretend that never happened? The time is 10 minutes to 7.
I guess because I'm not always sort of...
Northamptonshire Travel.
BBC Radio Northampton.
The M1 southbound has 2 lanes closed because of a car fire from junction 19 for the Catthorpe interchange to 18 for Rugby. In Weldon, still heavy queues on the A43 Weldon bypass in both directions between Stamford Road and Deanthorpe, all because of those ongoing roadworks, not helped by an earlier accident as well. Barnwell, queue still on the A605 in both directions near Well Lane. Temporary lights also causing queues there, and it's heavy on the A6 Burton Road in both directions at Thrapston Road, as it is in Towcester on the A43 at the A5. Looking to the M1 slightly further afield, very heavy following an accident. This is just before junction 10 with queues back to junction 12 for Flitwick, despite all lanes having reopened. Public transport, nothing to report, but if you do spot a problem, give us a call on 0800 030 4455. That's the latest. I'm Alice Ryan.
This is the Saints Show on BBC Radio Northampton. Heinz Brousseau and Gerry Mac with us in the studio this evening.
Is Piers Francis still about?
No, he's gone.
He's gone, is he?
He's gone, yeah. If you want to hear more from Piers Francis, we had a little glimpse, a little taster there. You'll hear him in full on the podcast, which will come up for you later. Simon has a question for you, Heinz. As he's played in the Northern and Southern Hemisphere, who's the best player he's played with and against?
Yes, a lot of people always ask you this question, but it's so difficult because I feel like each weekend you can get a guy, he doesn't have a big name, but he can put you on a lot of pressure. So for me, it's a real difficult one to answer exactly, but I've played against great players. I've played against McCaw and Pocock and Duzutois and Heapsack and I know a lot of guys, but I think every weekend's got a different challenge. And I think the more people start knowing you and realising the threat you are, the more they pressure you. So for me, I think it's every week's a different challenge.
There's some great names out there, isn't there?
What about the hardest player that you've played against then, or with?
Yes, I played with some hard players.
Well, in South Africa, there's a few.
I think John Smith. I don't know if you remember John Smith.
Yeah,
he played for Springbok, the Big 7, and I played with him at the Cheetahs. He was he was my captain at the Cheetahs as well, and I played with him at the Springboks a few tests. He's a real tough guy. Skalkberger. There's heaps of names. There's
Johan Smith. He retired and then went back to. Did he play at Toulon for a while?
He retired for 4 years with the Achilles thing. But I think all the teams I've played for, there's always a few tough guys in the team.
Who's the tough guy at Saints? Other than you, obviously. Who are the tough guys?
I think there's a heaps of tough guys, but I think pound for pound, Damana Harrison, probably one of the toughest guys out there.
He is indeed. I wouldn't argue with that. Rob says, do you like the way the breakdown laws have evolved, or did you prefer things how they were, and what would you change, if anything?
I definitely prefer the way they were. So it was a lot easier for you to get ball out.
In what sense? There's more leniency towards the defense?
Because the thing is, they changed it like every year for time. It was a stage where you could tackle and steal, and then you could come from the wrong side if you're the first. They changed it so many times that it got a bit confusing. But I think the overall picture for them is to make the game quick. And I think they've achieved that. So
but what you're trying to do is you're trying to slow it down, aren't you? And you are the opposite of what they want.
Yeah, exactly. But you need that as well. But I think at the end of the day, I want to see a fast game, which is tough on players and it's difficult, but it's entertaining. If you look at the Saints, the way we played this weekend, it was quick breakdown, quick things, and then you start getting space and getting good tries, and that's what people want to see, and that sells. So at the end of the day, I think we're moving in the right direction.
And I hesitate to bring it up. The first game of the season against Gloucester, you were heavily penalised, weren't you? I remember talking to Chris Boyd after that game, and he was saying that is the biggest challenge for him as a Southern Hemisphere coach, is how the breakdown is refereed. Is that taking you a little time?
Yeah, I think so. I think the thing is, especially was the first game, and there was this big thing about the high tackles.
Yeah.
They start, and usually in the beginning of a season, the refs get a thing, they want to send out a signal. So I got penalised twice for high tackles. I got penalised once or twice at the breakdown. So it wasn't that a big breakdown issue, but I think the first game in the season is always a tough one because they've got new rules, new things they want to focus on, and they really trigger happy with that and get the things out of the way.
We ought to talk about the Bath game this weekend as well with both of you. Gerry, you'll be there watching?
Yeah, we'll be there watching, but not only that, we have a presentation from the Wooden Spoon at half-time.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, they've kindly donated 2 new chairs, 2 junior chairs.
Because they're not cheap, are they?
They're not. They're averaging around about £5,000 each.
Crikey. And then you batter them to pieces.
We do, but they're well made, thankfully. Yeah, so we'll be there. There's going to be quite a few of the senior players there as well to support the juniors on the pitch and just give them some support while they are receiving these 2 new chairs, you know.
Great. It'd be good to see that.
And yeah, and looking forward to the game as well, obviously.
Yeah. Heinz, we heard earlier from the boss talking about how Chris Boyd saying how he almost needs to just temper things back a little bit, trying just to calm you all down after that fantastic win against Sale. Is that the case, that you've got to be careful not to get carried away with yourselves?
Yeah, definitely. That's like I said, there's a fine line where you have to take that confidence and use it, but not be over arrogant. But I think the boys, we spoke about it on Monday, we spoke about it after the game, we really took it and we knew what we've done, like we've really done well and we've achieved something great. But now, like I said, there's more pressure going to come. Teams are going to chase us down, they're going to put more pressure on us. So for us to be more accurate and to be better, we have to make a step up. We have to work harder this week, put more pressure on ourselves. And yeah, the boys have been working hard and I think we're moving in the right direction though.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing this weekend is that, off air, Heinz, and Gerry, we were talking outside and saying that, there was a statement sent out last week and, fortunately, unfortunately, when we look at it, everyone will sit up and listen, and especially one of Chris Boyd's old adversaries in Todd Blackadder, they would have coached against each other, in the Southern Hemisphere, and, he would have been really looking at what the Saints did well. So the Saints have really got to be on top metal. But that's if you're going to get in the top 4 and your chances of getting in the playoffs and who knows what happens then, these are the games they're going to keep rolling by. Saracens deal with it. Northampton Saints can deal with it. It's so exciting.
Predictions, Gerry? Saints this weekend? You've got to fancy them, haven't you, after Bath?
Yeah,
after
do fancy them. I fancy a 1, of course, yes, but I don't think it's going to be the big scoreline that we've had in the past game. But yeah, no, I'm really fancying them for a 1.
You own one as well a bit, Heinz, don't you? The game back at Bath in September.
Yeah,
I think you could have drawn it, but really you should have won it.
Yeah, we scored at the end of the day, and we put up a lot of pressure. There was a lot of opportunities that we had in that game. It was a rainy game, so it was a bit wet. Not exactly what we wanted with the type of game we want to play, but that's what you get at Bath. But like you said, I think we should have probably drew that one. We missed a kick at the end, but that's part of the game. So for us to get this one is going to be really important, especially with the way the log. The log this year is just something spectacular. If you slip up one weekend, you move 5 spots back. If you win, you move 3 spots forward. So it's interesting.
So
interesting, yes.
The weather's set fine though, and that'll help you.
Yep, that's definitely good news for us.
An Indian summer.
Yeah, we can't be Indian summer. That's when it's in the end of it. It's the opposite.
It is. Sorry.
Indian spring.
Indian spring. Yeah, we should say. Well, it's going to be nice weather.
And final word about the Leicester game then, Gerry. How are you going to beat Tigers on Sunday?
Well, we've got 2 chances at it. 1 at 11, then again and 1 at 1. We've been training hard. We've got our game plan and what we're going to do. We're going to roll it on court, take the coach's instructions. Hopefully I can hold the guys together as captain, and we can at least out of those 2 games, if we've got 1-1 would be amazing. We're under no illusions. We're up against a great side, but even if they beat us, as long as the score's not massive, we learn from it and we get to showcase the new skill and showcase what wheelchair rugby's all about to maybe other people who come along to watch it on the day and think, you know what, I've got a loved one or I know someone who would benefit from that. That's our main aim of the day,
And what sort of captain are you? You shouting captain?
Well, believe it or not, this will be my first time captain. I just got the call last week. It was the choice of the management and the coach to become the captain, and I try not to shout. I kind of base myself as much as I can on commanding and picking up on the good points. And if there's a mistake we made, it's done now. We can't correct it, and let's not try and let it happen again. But yeah, sometimes I get a little bit passionate, you could say, and a little bit loud at times. But yeah, no, it's I'm extremely looking forward to it, and having the family there, having friends there, these cheers on. It's a big thing for us.
We can tell it's going to be fantastic. Get along if you possibly can. It's been a real pleasure speaking to both of you this evening on the Saints show. That's all coming up then this weekend. Busy weekend for both the Saints First 15 and for the wheelchair rugby team as well. We will be live from Franklin's Gardens, of course, on Saturday afternoon from 2. But from all of us on the Saints show, it's a very good evening.